Hello buddy, and welcome to episode 6 of Brunswald. This episode is going to be kind of unorganized. It's going to be a pretty weird one. We'll be working on like all sorts of different things. It won't really be like a main thing in this episode. So yeah, but I'm starting off by working on this construction site over here. So this is something I wanted to add in the town, and I think I've seen some suggestions for this as well. Yeah, so I'm using all of these assets by Beard Monkey, which are fairly old at this point, but they still hold up very well. But yeah, so I'm making some like some prefab for this building here. I would assume this is like I don't know, maybe some office building or like a residential complex, probably office building. But yeah, so this is right next to the train station. I wanted to fill out that little spot there, and yeah, but we'll be making this construction site. Then we'll be going on making some modern development, some more like high rises, but they're not gonna be that tall, but they're gonna be like I think it's gonna be the tallest buildings in the town at this point. But I'm putting down this moving crane, whatever, which is actually like a in the electricity panel as a wind turbine. It sort of acts like one, but obviously it looks like a crane. But yeah, I really wanted to use that one, even though it might be a little bit unrealistic sometimes because it moves just randomly. And sometimes the whole crane is just over the train station, which doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. And also, I would have liked it to be a little bit shorter, because right now it's pretty tall, and this whole prefab for the building is only 2 stories, so I mean, I think it's fine. It's just a super small detail. I think it's definitely fine with the crane. But yeah, I think it turned out nice. You'll see more in the cinematics. But yeah, some more modern development, and then after that we'll be going on and working on like one block near the memorial with some like mixed zoning. And then after that we'll actually be making the ring road around Brunswald, which should be kind of exciting for you guys, because it sort of shows what sort of size I want this town or city to be. So I think you'll get a much better idea of the size I'm thinking of for this city when we make the ring road. Because ring roads, they are very common in a lot of European cities. Sometimes they tend to have like 2 ring roads, or like even 3 probably. But like maybe sometimes a more inner ring road and then a more outer ring road. Anyway, we'll talk more about that later on, but that is sort of the plan for this episode, even though I'm just all over the place for this one. But yeah, so just putting down a lot of detailing in this construction site, and I do actually really like how it turns out. Construction sites should just look kind of messy, because that's sort of how they look in real life. So I just put down a bunch of like machines and trucks and all sorts of construction related stuff, and it just looks pretty messy, but I do like that. And I got rid of that moving excavator because it didn't really make sense to have like a pile and that one digging right there. So I just put some type of other crane on that spot instead, which I think turned out much better. But I'm just putting down like some greenery, some shrubs, bushes and stuff between the train tracks, because I would imagine that there would be some space between here. But yeah, I thought it was a fitting place to put down like a construction site here, because at least what I've seen here where I live, there's like a lot of construction and new development around train stations, so that's sort of the inspiration for why I'm putting all of this here. But now we're getting into some more modern development, which I talked about. So I'm using these, I think there are modular buildings. I think they're by Journable, correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah. And I do really like these, because you can just like, because the biggest building here is 3 separate pieces, which is really cool that they're modular. And I do really like that, so you can just make them look however you want. And it's really cool. So putting down a lot of bicycle stands here, which I've talked about before, that it probably would make more sense to have bicycle stands in a modern development like this. And then just putting around some like bollards at this roundabout. And actually, if you wonder about the detailing on that roundabout, I actually did that off camera a few weeks ago, and it's highly detailed, that roundabout, and I just felt like doing it off camera. I got sort of inspired to do a highly detailed roundabout, and yeah, I think it just turned out cool, but I didn't record it, because sometimes it's just nice working off camera. And, you know, if I just really feel like doing something and I don't really feel like it makes a whole lot of sense to put it in an episode, or I don't feel like having it in an episode, I'm just gonna do it anyways, because I just want to enjoy it. And sometimes, like, it takes a lot of trial and error to do, like, a roundabout like this, so it would be sort of annoying to try and record this, because I did many different takes and versions of detailing that roundabout to get the final result with like a bicycle lane in the roundabout and all that sort of stuff. So sometimes it's just nice doing... That is my... I really need to fix this headset thing. The same thing happened in the last episode. Anyways, but yeah, what was I talking about? Yeah, I think it's just much easier sometimes to just do stuff off camera, because you don't really have to worry about like how you're gonna, I guess, present it in the episode and stuff like that. So sometimes I'll be just doing some off camera stuff. Hope that's fine. But anyways, I'm getting sort of off track now. I'm doing this little yard here around that place with some bicycle stands, some tables, and yeah, just making like a nice area with some fencing around where people can hang out, the people that live there, and yeah, then just putting down some parking spots. I thought about putting down some more underground parking, but I honestly couldn't be bothered doing it, so we'll just have to imagine that the cars get down underneath somehow, in some other hidden away spot. But I did put some I guess, overground parking lots there. And yeah, just putting down some cars, putting down a lot of decals and stuff on the ground, just to make it look, I don't know, make it look a little bit nicer. I know maybe it wouldn't make sense to have this many decals because it's just such a new area, but I don't know, I don't really like just having blank concrete, honestly. So now we're getting into making this ring road, and this will sort of lay out how this city will develop and how far we will develop the city. So this will be sort of the size. We'll probably go outside of the ring road a little bit and do some development there, but most of it will be inside of it. And yeah, so hopefully you can get like a better idea of the size this city is planned to be. And I think it's pretty nice. I think it's a pretty solid size for this city. I think it makes sense, and also, like, European cities don't tend to have like massive suburban sprawl or anything like that. So I mean, there isn't like all that much like development between like the main core city center and like out to the farms. I mean, there is definitely stuff between, but it isn't like American cities where you go miles to come from like the skyscraper area or yeah, the downtown area out to the countryside. There's usually a bunch of like suburbs and stuff. That's not really the case in a lot of European smaller sized cities, I guess. But yeah, so more of it's just like apartments and stuff instead of suburbs. But we'll definitely be putting down a lot of like normal suburbs as well. I'll be using the residential pack by Avania, using those buildings there, which I think look really nice. I did use them a little bit in Rosenberg, but now it's actually time to get into the story for the war memorial that I asked for in the last episode. So enjoy some like throwback to Bearsville with some stories and stuff. Hopefully you should enjoy that, some throwback to Bearsville. So enjoy this story for the memorial. In 1940, Germany invaded Brunswald. This memorial is dedicated to one soldier, Hugo Miller. He was a sniper who shot over 63 Axis troops in defense of the city, but was killed by an artillery shell. This monument is also dedicated to all his soldiers and sailors who died fighting to defend Brunswald. this story was created by Vladimir Putin, which I'm sure that's your real name. But anyways, thank you so much for this story. I do appreciate it, and I chose it because it had the most upvotes, so yeah, hopefully that makes sense.
I'm currently working on this public library over here, and I'm just putting down like decals outside of it just to make the ground texture look a bit more interesting. But this asset is pretty cool. It's by Senfcorn, in case you want to download it, and yeah, it's a pretty interesting asset, and I noticed that I had it, so I decided to put it down. Yeah, just putting down like a bunch of planters around here and bicycle stands and
and benches and detailing like this, and I'll be putting down some park people generators. I think I actually do that off camera, but yeah, I'll be doing that so you can get more life, I guess, in front of this library, because I guess there would be people standing around there. But I integrated like a massive planter, that's that planter by Avania, into the building, as you can see there with those magnolia trees. And I think that turned out really cool. It made it look more unique in my opinion, so I do like that. Then I'm just doing a parking lot on the other side here, which I think is needed for a library like this. I would assume there's quite a bit of people visiting it. Yeah, so this episode, as you probably noticed, has been a little bit all over the place, so I've been working on a lot of different things, but it's just sort of this transitioning part between like the main city center that we've been working in for the last 5 episodes, whatever, and we're like transitioning out to more, I guess, suburban areas. So it's just the I guess building style between there. The transitioning is a little bit tricky, and I just need to figure that out. So I think there'll be a lot of like mixed zoning and stuff, which you saw me do in that block where I added some like older buildings and like some cube houses, and then like one of those apartment blocks as well. So I think there'll be more stuff like that, and then just buildings like this as well, the library, and yeah, just sort of transitioning, and yeah, I think that will work nice. But I'm just doing some detailing around this canal here, just continuing like a pathway like this, and then just finishing up with some decals to make it look more interesting as usual, and then some like final planters here, which always turns out nice. Just to put down some planters and it would just instantly look much better. And yeah, but I'm actually putting down this this final thing for this memorial, this like museum for the memorial, which I wanted to use, so I'm actually putting this down in the park that we made in the last episode. So I think that turned out pretty cool. But yeah, this episode is coming to an end. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like. Also subscribe if you're new to the channel. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram to get updates and cool screenshots and all that sort of stuff. You know the drill. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Have a nice day, and I'll catch you next time. Bye bye.